Okay, a very big welcome to September 21. I'm Serene, and thank you so much for taking your time off from your busy schedule to be here to share with us these special moments on our latest publication, Prince Nila Discovers a New Kingdom. We are honored to have our expert here today. As I said just now, very difficult to gather all of them here at one time. And they will be sharing their insight how this book and why this book came a long way. And for those who have attended our last year 21st anniversary, you could recall I was actually speaking to some of the ladies up there. We were actually gathering some feedbacks on how we're going to come out with this book. So within a short span of time, we made it. So thank you very much for coming again. So right now, I will be doing a bit of interview with our expert here, and I shall take a seat if you don't mind. Okay, let us put our hands together to welcome all these 5 ladies and gentlemen. Okay, first of all, we have our dynamic founder of September 21, Cheong. She's a co-author of this exciting book. And next author is our beautiful Victoria Carlton, aka the Child's Whisperer. You might be wondering why is it? I tell you, any child who comes under her care and guidance will be an angel under her.
Not quite.
Not quite. Okay, Victoria has been teaching and coaching children and educators for the past few decades with a research-based methodology and programs. So she's a very well-respected mentor. Thank you for coming all the way from Australia. This is Victoria Carlton. Okay, Mr. Patrick E., our homegrown leading illustrators, who has published more than 150 children's books so far. Yeah? And he's a recipient, a 2-time winner of Maximilian's Prize for Children's Book Illustration. He does Singapore proud. Shall we give him a round of applause? And our young, talented musicians, Mr. Joe Tan. You'll see how talented he is, by bringing up all this beautiful music. Yeah. And last but not least, we have another young man here, Mr. Daniel Cheong. Cheong, yeah. He's a project manager from MXRI. And he's an expert in the latest technology, AR, means augmented reality. Yes, he's going to share with us how amazing this technology is. So, without much further ado, I'd like to post Cheong. She's also my boss, by the way. Okay, Cheong, you are a sharp business person, yeah? And you're always on the forefront and aware of what the market needs. So, what are your key benefits with Singapore's first augmented reality storybook?
Okay, like what I always mention to everybody, once I have a prepared speech, I cannot speak. So I'll just say from my mind what I feel. Now, I think I'll just say exactly how I started this project. Now, the market is so challenging, and every time now, all of us are trying our best to make it work. So, as a business person, we have to think of the key thing or the benefit that maybe will bring it to the audience out there. So what I do is that because our company has survived this year is already 22 years in the market. Now to survive for 22 years in the market, how do I do it? So I have to make sure I fulfill everybody's needs. So first thing I do is I listen to a person's needs. And I notice a lot of people are now going to e-book or technological things. But my passion is still storybook. My passion is still a physical picture book. And also because of my company mission statement, I'm a person who, I'm sure you all know by now, ethics and integrity counts a lot to me. So what I do is that I decided that the other thing is to support Singapore, homegrown Singapore. So what I do, if I were to import in all the books, sometimes I cannot find the right books. So in the midst of it, when I talk to all my customers here, they kind of tell me, why don't you support Singapore? There's lack of creative book in Singapore. Then because of my passion in things like history of Singapore, and I always love this story, Sanila Utama. So I went around to look for a book, but I couldn't find it. The best book I could find is called The Birth of a Lion City, but it became out of print. So I sourced around and nobody. So after that, this is where my dear mentor here come in. She said, Chu Ye, why don't you publish your own book? I says, Miss Vicky, I could publish, but I'm no author. She says, don't do it. Your company has survived for 22 years with you already, so why don't you just do it? So based on her encouragement, of course, my dear husband there, one day I just sit down, I write what from my feeling. And together with Victoria Carlton, this book was born. Okay, now the other thing which I need to highlight to you is that although this book was, we actually kind of developed about 1 year ago, I still find that this book, if I were just to publish on its own, there are so many publishers out there, how am I going to compete with that? That's when I found this good friend of mine here, Joe Tan. Later you see what he can tell you. So I asked Joe, I've got this book now called Prince Nila. Can you do something to it? Then she asked me, what do I want? I said, can you please add in some music because I love the way you develop the music for Rhyming Around Singapore. Sure, no problem. So later, that's how I've got the musical talent to form the book inside out. So that's how my musical books are being composed. After that, we kind of launched it during last year, but then something is still missing. A lot of people says, you got the book ready, you got illustration, of course, I know you tell beautiful Patrick, he got everything nice of me, why are you not publishing it? Especially Miss Vicky has been hiring me. I said something is missing. And about 6 months before last year, I actually went to attend a conference. And that's when I met Gerald. And something clicked into my mind, that's it, that's the missing link. That means now I can have a book on Singapore because what I want is, I wanted all the children in Singapore to know about the history. You know, a lot of children now these days, quite pitiful. They learn about all the latest technology, learn everything, but history of Singapore got no idea because they don't have enough beautiful books to entice them. So I've got these beautiful books here, so how to entice them? That's when the AR things come in. All I need to do is add on a little bit element to the front cover, that's all I do. As long as the children pick up the book, I think I already solved one issue already. After that, the rest of them is make sure the book is beautiful enough with engaging text and beautiful illustration with music. Then we can still carry on what we always wanted to do in a book publishing. Give everyone a picture book to read. So that is what my whole purpose of writing this book is all about. So that at least to ensure the survival actually of a physical book. Thank you.
Yes. So that's the difference from the publication to the rest of the books in the market. And what kind of benefits do you see from having the AR features?
Okay, I'm sure all of you know that AR, augmented reality, I think later we'll show you what is it all about. Like I just mentioned a little bit about it, the whole idea of my AR is just to entice the children to pick up the book.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people say, why don't you put AR on every single page? But then that defeats the whole purpose because the children will just pick up the phone and then we'll just scan every pages. So what I did was that I just put AR on the front cover and the last 2 pages. Then the rest of the book inside will have AR but only audio. And if you listen to audio, you'll be quite proud to tell you the audio is very authentic, but we put British voice because Singapore is still primarily a British, prominent society in the sense, not society. Singapore still prefer British voice talent. So we have British voice inside. But of course, I cannot forget what Singapore have full of good talent. So that is when you can hear his beautiful voice. In fact, I was so shocked to hear that a young man like that can produce the voice. The voice that you hear in the audio with all music is actually this voice.
Yeah.
So that is how we actually try to do that.
Yeah, kind of balance it,
Yeah,
to
so,
kind of make use of the technology without giving it too much of the technology, and it balance.
Every page of the book, I can tell you, you will only have the audio recording. That is to help children who has a problem maybe reading or speaking to listen to the authentic voice. Then after that, beautiful illustration by Patrick, and later we'll come with a musical video. That's all we have in the AR. So I refuse to put in any more things, the animation, because then it becomes an entertaining book. Of course, the engaging text like me and Victoria Carlton device is the things that pull through the book.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your insight. Victoria, you are a seasoned writer. So what prompted you to co-write this genre of Singapore legendary story with Chu Ye?
Okay, most of the stuff that I have written is for teachers, is educational material. And it's always been burning at me to write novels, to write, you know, stories for kids as well. And I'm fascinated with history, with legends. I have a British background, so I've been soaked in many, many, many legends, and then also the Australian ones as well. So Chuya and I have really had this talk about this for a long time. We've talked about these sorts of books, and really the Prince Nila came from the fact that I could see all the elements that kids love in there. You know, you've got a lion, you've got a really dangerous storm, you know, you've got a message, you've got, you know, this mythical princess under the sea, the mother,
fairy,
you know, all of those sorts of things. I thought it could really work, but I was still not quite sure, really, until my poor husband Martin came with me a couple of years ago, but he comes quite regularly with me, but I said to him, I want to go to Fort Canning Hill. First of all, I want to go to all the museums, everywhere I can get information to really get a solid background, because I'm really into research very much. But then I went to Fort Canning Hill and I thought, I need to dream myself into this story. And so he said, what are you doing? I was sitting behind a tree, you know, just sort of meditating. And he said, what on earth are you doing? And I said, I've got to feel the story. I want to feel him. I want to be there. I want to absolutely imagine it. And for me, it was from that moment that I was right on board with you. And then it just sort of hurtled along and it stopped for different amounts of time. But I then took what we had done, and we had a pre-publication copy, and I took that to my centre in Perth, because I work with many children as well, and I read it to the kids. And, you know, kids are very critical, incredibly critical. And they were like, no, you should do this, Vicky, you should do this, you know, you should add this in and whatnot. And then I asked them, what sorts of things do you think we could do with this book? You know, and they suggested all sorts of activities and whatnot. And I just read them the finished copy just before I came, and they absolutely loved it. And yet they're Aussie kids. This is not their mythology, this is not their legend, but they really, really loved it. It was interesting. So, yeah, so I've been captured, I guess, by narrative. I've always wanted to do it, and we've done it. We've got lots more ideas
I must add on one more thing. When I first talked to Victoria about writing this book, obviously I need her because, you know, she's more famous than me, right? So obviously that's where our collaboration come in. But the first one when we collaborate was actually just a fiction one, remember, with lots of text.
Yeah.
So I said, Vicky, that's not what I want. I want the young children to read. So that's why it took us an even longer time to kind of reduce all the text down to what you see today. So just to let you know, actually this book took us about 2 years. It's the 2 years project. It's not.
Yeah, it did, because I've written one which one day I'd like to bring to light about an older kid who hates everything to do with academic stuff in Singapore, but he loves history, and so he learns to time travel, you know, through various civilizations and whatnot. But Chuya, you know, I thought it was wonderful, but Chuya said, no, in my head, she said, I need a picture book. And so then we went back to the drawing table. But it was, it's been a great process.
Wow, so much work behind just
lots of work.
Book. Yes. Yeah, and Vic, can you share with us, do you believe that this genre you have written will allow you to explore multiple lines or series or similar books?
We have actually got lots of ideas because there are so many different legends in Singapore. You know, you've got, you know, places like, you know, the Reed Bridge and what used to happen there Sunday mornings, and I've got a whole file of things that I would love to write about, but it's just time, isn't it? It's time and checking out with kids, are they interested in these particular things? So I like to do a lot of research with children first to find out, does it actually work with everything that I write. So yeah, I can see.
So shall I say that we have to sit back and, you know, look forward to more publications on that?
Yeah, not in a hurry.
Not in a hurry, yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Vic. Mr. Patrick, how different is this project compared to many other projects that you had created so far? When Chuya spoke to you, it's not using a gun to point at you. You must wait for me back.
I think the Prince Nila is quite a famous story. Everyone know about the story. So when Chuya and Victoria passed me the story, so I start drawing the story. But one thing I'm a bit curious about the lion. Why black head, red body? So before I start painting, I have to double confirm. If not, I paint the normal lion. Yeah, because Chu Yan is very, how to say, he like to change things, he like to create things. So when I finish the whole story, I said, oh, I can finish the story, I'm so lucky. Then she called me again, why, we want to put some music on the book. So I need to change it slightly again. Then after finish everything, Chu Yan called me again. I want to put AR there as well. So I need to add more and more things.
That is why I like him so much, because he do everything for me.
So when I receive a call, when I receive a call, die. I see something must be need to change again. Then it's quite challenging, the project. The story is quite familiar, but the whole thing is quite strange, especially the one of the scene on the Nila found her mother deep inside the water, in the sea. Yeah, that I never read before. So this is very new to me. Yeah, especially the black head, red body. Yeah, so it's quite a challenging project. I like it quite like the story. Yeah.
Yeah. We can see the illustration was so painstakingly drawn and painted in different gradations of colors. Can you share what's inspirations for you to craft such drawings?
Because at the moment I like to use food coloring. This is the food coloring that I just bought. I use this kind of food coloring for all my painting at the moment.
Wow, that's the tips, right?
Yeah. So when you look at my painting, you can smell it as well. No, it's okay. It's just joking. But the color is very vibrant and very colorful compared to watercolor. But the bad thing is food coloring. When it dry off, it will be permanent. You cannot wash off like watercolor and repaint again. So if I do something wrong, I have to redo the whole thing again. Because I'm not very good in computer, so I don't use computer or Photoshop to change my drawing. So everything, if I did wrongly, I have to redo everything again.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's quite challenging, especially when you do a very big painting like that. Oh, this is very big painting, something like that. So you have to wash it very fast. No, once it dry up, yeah, you have to wash it very fast. When it dry up, the color will permanent there. So you cannot do anything. So I have to work very, very fast. So you can pass around this one.
So this is only for the expert like yourself.
And not now. And these are big pieces.
Wow.
So it's quite challenging for doing a very big piece because I need to use a very big brush. So when I teach my students how to use food coloring, they paint it very slowly. I say, you have to work faster then. When you think, oh yeah, I got patches and patches there, because they're using food coloring, because it's a permanent color. It's not like watercolor. So it's quite, you need to use, 老师, Chinese painting is very good.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Wow, we did learn something, right?
Yeah, but I think more to come because Victoria, Carlton, and Chu Yan, they thinking of new story. But they give me advice what they're going to do. Yeah, so I need to prepare.
The team really have to work very closely
Yes,
together
yeah.
to feel the synergy.
Yes.
As what Vicky saying that you must have the feel of it.
Yeah. Actually, one of the main reasons why I use Patrick, just to let you know, besides being one of the more renowned artists in Singapore, you notice Patrick hand paint everything. That is why I like his service. I like the way he do. Because a lot of artists in Singapore now are only graphic and they use a computer. So he's one of the very few artists that can physically draw. And so it's all watercolor painting. And if you look at my first book that he actually did for me, The Rhyming Round Singapore, he has so many multiple medium. That means he has watercolor, he has crayons, he has poster color, he has color pencil, and black and white sketches. That was for that first book.
Yeah, one thing I have to redo is this is all unwanted, rejected.
Okay, and that is what I love about him. Yes, he has actually. We have a lot archive of rejected. All those ones are rejected. Yes. Just to show you all the.
Shall we give Patrick a round of applause for
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Joe. Hey, your music is fantastic. No, when
thank
I
you.
first heard it, and I think you guys were having meeting, I was like, wow, where did this come from? Wow. So can you share with us what's in your mind when you first picked up this project?
When the project first came to me, I was very interested because the idea of having a children's book about a Singapore folktale is like like, why haven't I thought of it before, you know? And I never even thought of actively searching for something like that. So I've did children's music before, but this is the first time I wrote music for a narrative. And when I think music and narrative, the first thing that comes to mind is a musical. So I toyed with that idea in my head. Then my wife is an early childhood educator. She's over there, by the way. So I've watched many of her kindergarten's concerts, and I drew a lot of inspiration from there. So I asked her, I said, would it be interesting if there was going to be a musical about Sang Nila Utama for children to act to or dance to? And she's like, yes. So that's what I did. Yeah.
Oh, so this is the part which we need to elaborate a little bit. Okay, when we, like what it says, because I'm not actually a publisher, I'm actually more a distributor of early childhood resources. And I take in this publishing part because of this niche, this kind of something in the market that I cannot find. So if I cannot find anything, I would like to do it myself. So when I come up with this project to do this book, the thing I find out is that, you know, I'm sure you all heard about Lee Kuan Yew musical, right? I think some of you heard about it. I fell really in love, also because Lee Kuan Yew is my mentor. I love it so much. So I was thinking, if only one day I can have my own musical. That is why when I developed this Prince Nila, I think of him. I said, Joe, can you do a musical for me or not? He said, what musical? That's where he come up. So that is how we actually come out, before the book's then published, actually a short musical on Prince Nila, which I think if you have time, we'll play it for you to hear. But that is about 12 minutes video on Prince Nila. Then after that, just because we're going to launch it, we have a preview launch about 2 weeks ago at the Asian Festival of Children's Content. We want to do something different. So I come with this idea to tell Joe, if you want to entice the audience to come and see our books, you cannot just go there and just do something. Can you do some action for me to get a school children to perform to it so that at least it's entertaining. So this guy was excellent. I just give him this brief only, you know, and all he did was that, if you see the one he did, he actually gets some, is it full video for you?
Oh, I just stand the phone there.
You know what I did in his shorts and t-shirt and shorts, right? He calligraphed all the action for Prince Nila video by himself, and he just put a video there. Then he sent me the script. And so that script, I sent it to the school that Serene got for me. And the children within 2 months or 1 month.
No, it was less than a month.
Yeah, able to perform. Actually, the musical. K2 children, can you imagine? They're able to perform the musical with just action to that 12 minutes video. We're so amazed. When we were at Asian Book Festival 2 weeks ago, you can see a snippet of the video there. Yeah. We face a lot of challenge. Of course, when we go there with the inspiration just to promote our book, you know, just to have storytelling for the book, get the children to perform the musical for the book, that's all we wanted to do. And also we have Julia Gabriel, professional singer, William, who actually is a professional singer for Rhyming Around Singapore, to perform a few songs on the book. And we have the Prince Nila video on the screen. Just imagine, in the midst of it, the children were following the script there and singing and performing. Guess what happened? The power failure, fail. Yes. But the amazing part came is that the children just stopped for a few moments, that's all. Then the teacher in front just do a few signals. And do you know the children is able to sing through the whole song and finish the whole performance. So that's why it's so amazed. So of course, we know, partially it's due to the way he managed to script his action video and managed to script a video, but also we have a lot to thank to the children of Creative Land for giving us such a good show. So that is what I'm inspired to do for a book. Because since I'm not a normal publisher, I can do this because when I publish something, I do think more with passion rather than profit. Of course, profit hopefully will come later. But right from start, that's all I want. That's why when I talk to my printer there, they know what I want. I says, give me your best price, but what I want is something that is nice for me to publish, but it must have all this added element. So that is why I'm so happy to do it, because by being what I am, I can produce all this. I'm sure if I'm just a normal publisher, the ultimate might just be, bottom line might just be cash, profit. But that is secondary. So that is why I managed to come up with this particular book.
Okay, so you see that this book has a lot of passion and love and warmth there, right? Can't wait to get a hold of it. Okay, one last question for Joe before I let you go. Is that, can you share with me what is the consideration when you take on this project, because it comes to the music and the lyrics? and later
Yeah.
you were told to do the movement thingy.
Yeah.
Okay, when I was first presented with the book,
Yes.
the first important thing that I needed to consider or stay true to is the events that are happening inside the book, because it's a narrative, so it needs to flow from top to bottom. And basically, I wanted everything that happened in the book to be represented in song. So how I made sure of that was to basically write my lyrics around the subject of every sentence, as well as focus on the important words that are there. Because I understand that some of those words might be potentially difficult words that might be there to expand the children's vocabulary. So those are the words I kept, as well as like the subject of the sentence needs to be retained so that everything is still in order and the content of the book is all there, nothing is missing. So that was the first important, that's the first key. The second key was for it to be relevant, because it's a children's book. I wouldn't want the music to be too dry or to be no fun at all, right? So that one was quite difficult lah. So I had to consult my subject matter expert, which is my wife again. Yeah, my SME. So she would give me a lot of suggestions, and she would say things like, why not have this part where the children can shout out the lyrics? Or things like, children love action, so everything you put, right, make sure there's something they can do, something they can do actions to, and things like that lah. So yeah, that's all I did. Yeah, exactly. So things like throw everything from the book, throw everything away, you know, and then things like let's march up the hill, climb up the hill, all these things. So those are the important parts that will engage the children when they listen to the music, because they can actually see the everything happening while the music is going on. So lastly is the usual musical aspects, which is the melodies need to be singable and very memorable. Yeah. And also choosing the instruments to correctly represent the mood and the vibe that each part is supposed to bring out.
Yes,
Yeah.
like
So-
we made it.
Yeah, it needs to be happy, right? So
Yes.
yeah.
All right. Wow, very transparent. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, shall we? Okay. Yeah. Okay, well, another young gentleman here, Daniel. You are the AR expert, right? So how can you see the AR features supporting children's book in general? Yeah.
Okay, I mean, can I have a show of hands? Roughly, do you all know what AR is? Yeah. So I can maybe about 50%. Okay, for those who don't know what AR is, okay, AR actually stands for augmented reality. So a very good example is Pokemon Go. Okay, if your kids are playing, you use your phone, you know, a 3D model appears, it's being projected in real time timeline. That's called augmented reality. So to answer the question, how do I see augmented reality helping in children books? I mean, if you go online and search, there are a lot of children AR books now. In fact, a lot of them are award-winning books as well. So one reason of how augmented reality books helps is that it definitely will bring the reading whole experience more immersive and more lively. So what I mean is that, for example, what Chuyen mentioned, that just by scanning the front cover, a 2D animation will actually pop up. Just by letting the kids or even the audience watching that, they'll get more engaged by the movements. It's another form of learning, all right, through visionary. Yeah. The second point that why AR is building up now, 10 years ago, in fact, this technology existed 10 years ago, but back then it didn't work. So as of now, with newer phones, lesser limitation on ARs, and also more use cases, the whole AR experience is building up in books, not only books but different applications. Yeah. So the second point to explain why AR is helpful is that I'll say is building a connection. Okay. So what I mean by connection? Just by scanning, okay, your kid scanning a book while he's reading, okay, you are building a connection to something else, which is in the form could be audios, it could be a video, or it can even be a 3D model. So those connections relating to a subject of the story of the book for Prince Nila would be helping kids to learn it more immersively.
Yes.
Yeah, so mainly it's these 2 points.
It's bring up to the whole new level by like immersing yourself in the environment, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So I hope all of you have downloaded the app called SnapLearn. Then you can actually bring up your mobile right now. Then you can scan the poster there.
Right.
You have the book. So
Yeah, so maybe why not everyone just take out a phone?
Yeah.
Is it? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to take
Actually,
the book?
okay. Actually, what we want to do, try now is like,
Yeah.
okay, you tell them exactly what to do.
Sure,
we'll
I can.
pass all of you one book each. Then we just want you to try to experience what AR is all about.
Can
That's
do.
what we want to do now.
Okay,
No,
can.
actually,
Yeah, some of you are the front row, the first two rows.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
you'll
come
probably be
out.
better to scan this. The rest maybe
Yeah.
can scan the side or at the back. Or even, I think, in your goodies bag, there are brochures, right? So you can actually scan there as well.
In your goodie bags, I think there's brochures. Yeah.
Okay. So for those who haven't downloaded the app,
Yeah.
you can scan name card also, correct?
Yeah. You scan it, you can feel that the front page that pops up. Yeah. But the inner pages are all the audio, except the last pages is also has the AR features. Yeah.
Oh dear, okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. We will leave this session for about 5 minutes for you all to experience it. Then I will leave the time to Victoria. Okay, so our next sessions will be that I will leave you guys for about 12 minutes, then for the musical video. Then after which, Ms. Victoria will share with you how could you make full use of the book. You can actually do it in that drama, the musical, concert as well. So thank you very much for our panel here. And you want to say something,
Yeah,
Chie?
Sorry, I better say something.
She has lots to share.
Okay. Oh yeah. Why am I using the?
That is my mind.
Okay. Some of you asked me, what is the price of this book? The official price of this book actually is $18. We are launching at $15, but for today, I'm actually launching. Well, for today, the price of one book is $15, but I'm offering it for 2 books for $20. With 100% proceed all goes to my charity, that is SPCA. I think all of you know by now already. If I give away something freebies, it's always to a charity. So I hope today you all support me by buying at least 2 books worth $20, and all the money goes to charity, and the charity box, I think we put somewhere there.
Yeah,
and what I did for today's promotion is, all of you knows me that every time after you come to a workshop, Cheong like to give a very free gift. For the first time in all my flyers, I never say I'm giving a free gift to people who attend the book launch. I purposely do that because to answer one of the customers tell me, wow, today you're free gift. I say yes, because I'm testing the sincerity of the people who wish to come for my promotion. So it works. That means anybody who take the trouble to come today for this, you all take the trouble to come for this, spend these few hours with me. I thought I should show you my sincerity. So why I show you my sincerity? By giving you all these goodie bags, which you can look inside. Number one is it has Pet Hutchin bag inside. Now, Pet Hutchin, I'm sure some of you know that we actually was during last year 21st anniversary, we actually were supposed to bring her to Singapore. She kindly accepted the invitation, but last minute she couldn't make it. So we had a wonderful celebration, but we were able to be invited to UK by her to personally interview her. So I was fortunate enough to go to her beautiful home. Can you imagine a famous author inviting you to a home? It's as good as going to a famous actor or actress house. So when we go there, my task to go there is just to personally interview her, because last year when I booked her for our celebration in Singapore, MOE was so excited. They wanted me to bring her to have a workshop for them. But when I told them Pet Hutchin could not make it last minute, the thing we could do for them is personally give a personal interview. So that's what I'm supposed to go to UK for, just to bring my video to interview her. But I got a shock when I reached there. I did not realize that actually her son is a movie producer. So instead of me just taking a video to video her, they set up the whole studio. That's why you can see the photo there. They set up a studio of the video camera and a professional videographer there videoing the whole interview. So instead of me interviewing her, in the end they interview me and Pat Hutchin. That is why today I wear the same clothing in memory of her, because my dear friend actually passed away in November. That's why this year we also want to commemorate her. So you can see all the photo of her there with all the things that we have. So the bag is actually in memory of her. The bag you all have is exclusively for all of you for today. I got limited collection, so I hope you all will treasure it. Inside, there's also a notebook that we made with Pat Hutchin. And inside the notebook, if you see inside the notebook, there's one wording specially by her for all of you. And then the other one, the things that I put inside the notebook, is also 52 pages. The 52 pages signify the 52 days of the week, because we all want, when we are very busy, we forgot all about virtue or character, like being caring, forgiveness, by truthfulness, trustworthy, service, all this. These are the 52 virtues that I actually put inside the notebook, so that every time when you're busy, you just turn a page, then you can remember her. And you can see a lot of goodies I have inside for you. And later you can see some more things. I do it right from my heart. You can see my so-called famous mooncake that last night I spent the whole day just making mooncake for all of you. There are 3 different flavors. You all can choose a flavor and bring home. But remember, after this, we got 1 hour of tea reception. And again, please eat all my food, because I spent a lot of time preparing all this trip for all of you. So that is to thank all of you for taking the trouble to come. I give you all these goodies plus all freebies. And all I need to do is support SPCA, the animal charity, by just buying at least 2 books. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheong. She is so passionate. And last night, she was burning the midnight oil, making all the mooncakes and all this stuff. I mean, we were so busy the whole week, but despite of that, she still, dedicate her time for that. Really, thank you so much.
And there's also one more item. Later, when you all eat, it's a surprise item.
See, you all will feel so much love today. Okay, great. So we'll get the video ready, and we'll sit back. Then, thank you so much for the panels. Then, you might do, you can switch your chair a bit, then we can watch the movie together. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to start. Thank you, by the way, for coming. As I was listening to Joe's music then, I was getting my usual goosebumps. I love it so much. I find myself walking around my house, getting ready for lessons with the kids and whatnot, singing Temasek, Temasek. It's really hard not to. It's amazing music. I'm just going to talk for a fairly short time about some of the things that I've actually done with this book. There are a lot more, and in fact, as I was, listening to people today and thinking, I thought, I haven't even half explored it yet. But I just want to talk to you about some of the things that I have done that I know will work. After that, we're going to have some refreshments, and then we've got Francis speaking, and he's going to be talking about feng shui, and he actually helped us for a while, and he's pretty amazing as well. So I hope that you will be able to listen to him. So you've heard me talk about how I got involved in the project and everything, but because I'm a teacher, all the time I was writing this, I was thinking, what can we actually do? And I was asking the kids, what do you think we can do with this? And at the back of the book, there are some teaching suggestions, and Chuye had to tell me off several times. She said, you can't put 155 teaching suggestions at the back. You've only got 1 page, So I had to sort of cut back. But these are some of the things that we've done, and we have used it extensively with kids before. Before you actually read the story, and this is good practice anyway with any story, get some knowledge mobilisation going. So talk to them about, have you ever heard of Prince Nila? Let's have a look at the cover. Now that you've actually got the facility to use your phones and look at what do you call it? I'm so bad with this stuff, the technical stuff, AI, whatever it is. All right, you can show that to the kids. I didn't do that because I hadn't mastered it yet, because I'm not a terribly techie person, but also the sorts of kids that I see in Perth are very, very bright kids who love anything digital, and I wanted to make sure that I was able to capture their reading brains before I did that. Now that I understand it a little more, I think that I will be gamer to actually start to use some of those features properly. I always have a rule with me: unless I can get it, unless I can understand it, I'm not going to try and present it, you know. So I won't be talking so much about that part. But, you know, I spoke to the kids about, you know, where do you think this is taking place? Have a look at this guy. Look what he's wearing, you know. What do you think is going to happen in the story? Have you ever heard of him? You know, what do you know about him? I just want the kids to start to think about it. Because as I said to you, I went and I did some research. But you know what? There's very little to research. I mean, how are you going to prove that his mother was a fairy princess? You know, and there have been a lot of people who have come to Cheong and said, you should leave that bit out because you can't prove it. But you know something? You can't prove any of it. You actually can't prove any of this story. This is a legend, and it's a Singapore legend, and it's a very beautiful legend. Why would you drop off the magical aspects of the legend? I didn't make up the fairy princess. I was pretty glad she was in there. I didn't make that up. The only bit that I really put in myself was the lion turning around and looking at Prince Nila. I must admit, I did use some poetic license there, and I had him sort of staring at him. But the rest of it is really part of the legend. And so I had to do a lot of looking and researching and whatnot, and there was so little to look at. And that's basically all that's known. We know pretty much nothing else, which is why I had to go and dream myself into the story. I'm actually going to be writing a visualisation, what I call a mind journey, about this book over the next week or so, where I'm going to be practicing with kids, getting them to shut their eyes and imagine that they are actually with Prince Nila. I need to explore that bit more. But I just want to talk to you about some of the things that we've done. So while we're reading, talking to the kids about various different concepts, like when we get to the storm, have you ever been in a storm? Were you frightened? What happened? You know, what do you know about storms? You know, what do you know about different sorts of storms? And after the book, there are so many different things that you can talk about. But that picture that Patrick did, where he's got the little servant boys throwing the fruit and everything overboard, is a really, really good picture to get kids talking. So the kids responded really well to that. You know, I said to them, imagine you're one of those kids. How would you feel? And you've got to throw all the food overboard and whatnot. And also the bit where Prince Nila throws his crown overboard, getting the kids to imagine their favourite toy, their favourite thing, like their iPad, you know, something really important to them. And you've got to throw it overboard, okay? And, you know, so it spoke about how Prince Nila must have felt inside when he had to do that. And after we'd finished the reading, there were so many different things. We've done so much painting. I should have really saved a few to put them up here. But the kids have suggested that they'd like to make a crown. They want to make a crown like Prince Nila wore. So I need to give that one a bit more thought, because I haven't really thought about how I can do that yet. But, you know, we'll get cardboard and we'll get glitter and plastic bright coloured stones. So they're pretty sure they want to do that. I'm more interested in them writing a description of the crown and putting lots of interesting adjectives in, because as a teacher I naturally go to that academic part. But you can do a lot of grammar, I've discovered, with this book as well. So I know that Cheong really wanted this to be a young kid's book, you know, and it probably is to some extent, but I've been using it with kids as old as 12 and 13. Kids who are pretty smart and who absolutely love narratives. And they've been able to get into the story and pretend they were in there. They've been able to write descriptions of the storm, all sorts of things. So I'm now starting to think, yes, it's great for young kids, but it's also pretty jolly good for primary school kids. There's so many different things that you can do with it. This is something we have been doing quite a lot of. Our kids are right into storms and snow and things like that, and we have a big science class that we run on Saturday morning. And at that science class, you know, we have all sorts of experiments and whatnot. And because of this book, we were talking about all the different storms that occur. You know, what sort of, you can have a thunder and lightning storm, what causes that, you know, what causes a snowstorm and whatnot. So I had to jump into Pinterest, okay, and spend a lot of time looking at the different experiments that you can do with kids around storms. There are so many. So you can leap off and you can do a whole lot of science connected to this book as well. There are loads of things, and also lightening a load, throwing things overboard. You know, how much fruit would they have needed to throw overboard? All sorts of things. You know, even getting into Archimedes, you know, things are still coming to my mind. We've done a lot of this. We've done a lot of finger painting, the background of the ocean, and the kids have had to analyse what colour is the ocean, and they've had to realise it's not actually blue, it's not purple, and it's not black, and it's not, you know, so you've got to actually put all of those different colours together. And after hearing Patrick talk about the food colouring, I'm not sure I'm game, because I did food colouring bubbles a little while ago and made a dreadful mess of the kids' clothes, but I love the idea of painting with that. So that's, and the kids would love to know that's how it was actually done with food colouring. So I'm sort of thinking that could be really good as well. They've done a lot of pictures of the dark, dark sky, and you know, with lightning, and they've actually cut the lightning out from yellow paper, this forked lightning, and put that on as well. So it is so interesting to see Aussie kids get into the cultural background and stories of other countries. And as I've been doing it, I've been thinking, wow, this is a good way for them to learn about Southeast Asia, to learn about Singapore, and wouldn't it be amazing if we were all learning about each other's cultures like this? And drawing the boat on the ocean. And that's been the hardest bit, trying to find pictures of boats, you know, and I just wish I had Patrick there in Perth, you know, so we could get a picture and we could stick the boat on the ocean, because the kids are all going, well, what exactly does it look like, Vicky? You know, what colour will it be? You know, will it have funnels? You know, will it have this? And it's hard to find the sort of boat to show them. So pretending that you're in the boat, stepping into the story, right? Getting some empathy with the major people in that narrative. You're there when the storm hits. What would that feel like? What would you hear? What would you see? You know, what would you say? How are you feeling? Do you think you're going to survive? You know, what are the things going through your mind? So we've done quite a lot of journaling with children doing this, and this is where the older children have done such a great job. Why do you think the storm was quiet after he threw his crown in? What do you think was really happening? Do you believe his mother was down there? We've talked about the bits of the legend that could be true, probably might be true, and the bits that probably aren't true, but they're great anyway. You know, so we've talked a lot about those sort of elements. And I think you'll agree that the way that Patrick has got the mother, you know, under the ocean holding up the boat is amazing. That is, for me, that is really a goosebumpy moment. You know, you'd almost, to see her doing that, you feel like you almost want to cry. It's beautiful. Why did Prince Nila want to go to the beach? You know, why did he want to go to Temasek Beach? Do you like going to the beach? So, you know, Aussie kids, of course, have all been going, yeah, it's great, you know, and I said, you know, they had the whitest sand, and we talked about, you know, white sand, different colours of sand, why is sand different colours, and we jumped into science again. So that worked really well. Drawing the princess mother, all the girls wanted to do this. I hate to be sexist about this, but they all wanted to do that. They all wanted to make up all these beautiful collages for her dress and all those sorts of things, and writing a description of her. What did she look like? You know, what does she do? What sort of things might a fairy princess under the ocean eat? You know, how did she live her life? Why didn't she live with her son? What happened? You know, getting the kids to think about that. Chia and I have been looking at some pictures that go with the story, and we're thinking about putting a set of story cards together. We haven't sort of chosen which ones or anything like that, but we're thinking, I think it would be a great idea to have about 10 or 12 cards that the kids could use for sequencing. don't have a fit, Patrick. It's okay. We'll work it out together somehow. I can see him thinking, oh, more changes coming up. But I thought it would be really good if we've got, you know, a pack of cards, and on the back of the card it's got questions for the teachers to ask the kids. You know, look at this picture carefully. What do you think's happening? Why is that going on? That sort of thing. So it's like a picture talk, and then that helps vocabulary to grow. And also for the kids to sequence the event. What happened first? Then what happened? Then what happened? So I think that would really add a great deal for the teaching package. What was the special message given to Prince Nila by the lion? Okay, how did the prince know what the lion was trying to say? All right, did the prince just suddenly get a flash? How did the prince know? Have you ever been given a message? How did you get the message? Did somebody say something? Did they write something? Or did you have a flash of intuition? And then we've been talking about what's intuition. You know, how do you just know things? So that's been a whole lot of fun as well. And after reading, of course, this is teacher talk now, all right? All Aussie kids have to know what is the setting of the story, all right? What is the problem? You know, because there's always a problem in every story, there's a complication. The resolution, how was the story resolved? Also, the characters. Who were the characters? And doing some character studies as well. Some of the kids have suggested that we make some puppets of the main characters. I haven't explored that one yet, but it's sort of on the cards. Once again, Prince Nila's Fairy Princess Mother, the kids all want to draw that one. They want to use watercolours and do her underwater home as well. And just coming to the end, things like taking the kids, you can do this. I can't obviously take the kids up there, but you can take the kids there. You can sit them on the slope there and get them to imagine, just like I did. You can take them to your National Museum. You can take them to these places so they can really, really feel it. And I think that it gives kids a sense of being who we are, all right, who we are, people who live here, but also how do we connect to our history? How do we connect back to our roots? So they're just some of the ideas that I've used so far, and just listening to this group today, I've been thinking, oh yeah, I could do that, I could do that, but of course I also do have to teach some other things in Perth as well. But it's been great, and thank you for listening. I'm sure that if I put you into little groups now, you could come up with at least another 30 ideas. Because the book itself is just, well, it's the story itself that just lends itself to it, you know. So thank you very, very much for listening to my ideas. By the way, you can have a copy of those notes if you'd like them. How many, just a show of hands, how many people would like them, the notes? That's just the PowerPoint notes. Okay. If you leave, make sure you leave your email address. I know Chuyer's got most of them. Then we can just zap that off to you as well. And I would love to hear your ideas, and I would love to see photographs of what you've done with the children as well. Yes, Martin?
Could you just keep going for a little while? Maybe people have got some questions for you.
Okay, that's fine. Yep. Any questions or any burning ideas? We're waiting for the food. Okay, all right, it's all right. I might as well be honest. Okay.
The message was, that's what we're talking about, messages, secret messages.
Oh, secret message, but I didn't get it. You didn't look deeply enough into my eyes. Okay, so ideas, can you see yourself using it with kids? All right, so what could you do? Like, Sana, you're from India. What could you do with it, you know?
Yeah, we can actually do a lot of things because, you know, this is where, you know, we get to know the imagination, how deeply the child can imagine the story, the beautiful pictures, what you have put in the storybook. Actually, you know, when you were talking about, I was just visualizing how this could have happened and what was that, you know, that lion said, and, you know, instantly said that, come on, I'll keep the name as Singapore, wherein Singa means the lion and the Pur means the city. So it's like, you know, so this will really help to know the imagination, how deeply the child can imagine and visualize things. So that will also help, you know, when the child is speaking, their vocabulary would also enhance with that.
Yeah, I really agree with you because imagination is so important. We really need to help kids to develop that. It's not something that we, you know, maybe just use a few times when we're very young. We use it all through our lives to help us to plan, to think and to be effective in our problem solving. I think we should give Sandra a clap because it's horrible when you get picked on like that. And she's flown all the way to India to come to this and to my training, and then I pick on her like that. Okay, any other ideas? Any other things that you think you could do with the book? Yep.
About the parent-child, because not just for teacher but at home too. So parents can bring in the family values like bravery.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just now my colleague and I was discussing, there's another version is actually humble when the prince decided to throw the crown into the sea. Something happened.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. I've pretty much read every version I could get my hands on, to be honest. Yeah, yeah. And in fact, I really like what you say, because if you look up here at the virtues, and I'm really big on these virtues, and Chuye is as well, you can go through that list and you can find a whole lot of things that apply to that story. And I think it's great when you can find a narrative and you can relate it to virtues as well. So that's really great. And any other parents here too who can imagine, you know, reading a story with their kids and doing it? I think there's so much you can do, by the way, with the digital stuff there. I really haven't explored it enough. Yep.
Hi. I think it's incredible. I mean, as a Singaporean, to have known this story since as a child, but never looked at the story with so much, like, with so much richness that it offers. I think it was quite enlightening. With the musical as well, I think the lyrics in the musical adds on another layer to the story in here. I thought it was really, really interesting. So I think for teachers, they can do stuff with the book, but they can also do stuff with the musical there. And the idea that I have in my mind is, because I've got like a kind of like a little theatre children's set that I have with my kids at home. So sometimes for the stories that they really like to read again and again, I end up telling them to make puppets and to reenact the story using that little theatre we have. So we have done it with a few of Eric Carl's stories that they like and all that. And I thought this story could be quite interesting to get them to do simple puppets, draw, put them on ice cream sticks or something, and then color it, and then just, you know, pretend it and voice it out themselves. Yeah.
Totally. I love your ideas, because there's so much drama that you could do connected with it. So much drama. And looking at what Joe did for the kids to do, all the different movements and things, I thought that was utterly amazing. You know, and I was imagining, oh, we could get the kids doing the movements and drama and whatnot. I can imagine kids doing something with a story like this for National Day, you know, doing something absolutely amazing. I think it's far more significant than I thought it would be. You know, I thought it was going to be a book, a good little book, but just a book. But, you know, if you get to know Chuye well, and most of you do, nothing is ever just with Chuye. You know, she's got the most creative brain ever. Yeah.
She's a history teacher. The way she said she likes history, so maybe because of that is being brought to her that she can do something, you know, related to the subject.
Totally.
History is a boring subject kids feel.
Yeah.
So if it is being put up in this way,
Yeah.
I'm sure about it that most of the kids will like it, and from the younger age only they'll be able to, you know, understand what is exact history about the place.
And to feel some pride too, you know. Yeah, no, I agree. But when Chuye said, I'm going to turn it into a musical, I thought, I think she's gone over the top this time. You know, this is, you know, I didn't exactly say that to Chuye, but I can still remember getting this WhatsApp message and thinking, no, you've just gone over the top, you know. And then when I met Joe, I can still remember meeting Joe and sitting down in Chuye's office and thinking, he looks pretty young. I don't think this is going to be very good. And being amazed at what he could do, being absolutely amazed at what was achieved with that. And I think it is another layer, a very, very important layer actually. So that and the movements and now the AR stuff as well, I think that it is now really a significant contribution to the history and the legends of Singapore and helping the kids to really get inside it. But I think, just judging by what I saw Aussie kids do, that this can actually spread through the region. I really do. And as I was watching these Aussie kids with it, you know, and some of them have been here, but not all of them, I thought, this is a way of bringing the world closer for kids, learning each other's stories, I think I've always known that deeply, but this has really given me the chance to explore that. Any more questions or, yeah?
I want to say today I come here, I learned a lot from Victoria. I'm a secondary teacher and a part-time lecturer in the university, but I have never taught the kids or preschool student. I feel that you are very great because you are very creative and you also, how to say it, just only a storybook. And you provide a very good ideas before reading and what teacher is supposed to tell the student. You know, it's not just open the book and read through the story. It's all star, it's no more. You must use a very creative one to have a motivation to get a student like to learn, and then during the teaching. You have procedures, you have other activities, ask questions to let children to think about. Then it's really a very good rapport, to think deep about the story. And after the lesson, you have some other activity, hand-on coloring. I'm an artist, so using art to teach the kid is very effective. So Sani Utama, this book, I think that's bring up a very good, history of Singapore. Every children must learn. But this story, just only, nobody will look at the book, just only few lines. But you make it very interesting, go to Batam. It's very creative, and then the storm is our life. Like recently, there is a Bangosteen, typhoon, the storm. So many people, so many countries are, affected.
Yeah.
So we can bring in the real pictures and our story. Our book is very real. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for saying that, yeah. And I just want to add, this man is the most amazing, amazing artist. So make sure that you do talk to him. His work just, I got to know him last time I was here and your work left me gobsmacked, absolutely. Any other comments or ideas or things that you think you could do with it? Okay. Did you all like the book?
Yes.
I mean, you can say, no, I didn't like it, but you all liked it. So you can all imagine using it with children or...
I do have a question.
Yeah?
Before the launching of this book, I have been going around sharing with our schools in Singapore, especially the preschool. Every year the teachers will be like, oh, what am I going to do for my year-end concert? They really crack their brains what to do. So when I shared this with them, being teachers very creative, and because I told them there's a musical part of it. So from there on, they have been howling me to ask you, when is your set of that ready for them for next year? So they want things like the script, the music, the expertise.
Wow.
Yes.
But that is where I see it going.
Correct.
Ever since one year I was here, it must have been near National Day, and we went down to Marina Bay. Martin might remember this, and they had a big light show. And they were talking about the story of Singapore, and it was projected over the water, and it was, I was quite amazed. And as soon as we finished this book, and I heard Joe's music, I thought, I can imagine this book being projected out there and seeing the characters, larger than life out there. And yeah, I've got really it's not being ambitious. I can just see it, really coming to life like that. And the AR stuff is really, really exciting. Really exciting. It adds another dimension. So it's sort of not over yet. It's the beginning of the story in lots and lots of ways. Yeah.
Just the beginning.
Yeah, it is. It's just the beginning. The narrative is just starting.
Is the book going to have CDs?
Do you know what? I don't know, but you know what she is like. She's probably got all sorts of all sorts of plans. Yeah. Any other ideas? notions? Not? Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for being such an amazing audience. I'll make sure that you do get the PowerPoint notes. And I think that we are nearly ready to... Yeah? Yeah, we are? Okay. All right. So let's have some snacks, and I hope that most of you will come and listen to some of the amazingly useful and inspiring ideas that Frances has to share with us. Thank you very much.